Don't let him.
Let him go? Let him go. We won't get nothing done.
We'll stop. All right. Well, enough. I am struck by the thoughtful level of discussion I get from people who can't disagree rationally.
All right, I really couldn't make out how to tell that, but Tracy, the gist is that it's getting nasty, and I don't know what the lie they're referring to, whether it's about bailouts and blaming Bush or whatever. I know that was prior to the comments, but that's a group that ain't happy. And the way he reacted to that criticism was that it was like, oh, please, these stupid masses.
Right.
And a lot of the prominent leaders who are taking on these criticisms of healthcare, it's like, oh, please, we can't soil ourselves with addressing your overly emotional responses. Is that a smart way to handle criticism?
No. And, you know, it's interesting, Neil, that you note that the anger directed at Barney Frank is not just over healthcare, it's over the bailouts. In other words, the electorate is saying, look, we are trying to get our own houses in order financially. You have not gotten your house in order financially. You've kept Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, which Barney Frank has defended for years, off the government balance sheet purposely. They're basically off-balance sheet hedge funds and politically captive companies. You've done, you know, piecemeal health care reform when our health care costs are going through the roof. And, you know, people forget that Medicare and Medicaid are basically socialized medicine. You don't want to hear it that way, but it is. And when you have the government intervening there, what happens is doctors put those costs that they can't get reimbursed from Medicare and Medicaid through the private insurance system and through private health care costs. So those costs do go up. So the electorate sees
by dismissing it,
it's the wrong way to go.
So, Jonathan, what do you make of the tenor and tone of this debate?
Well, I think Liz is exactly right, Neil. I mean, Barney Frank, along with Chris Dodd, is really the member of Congress most associated with the banking crisis. I mean, at the helm of the House Financial Services Committee. So people see the reaction to the bailouts, and rightfully, they're very alarmed about putting Congress and people like Barney Frank even more in charge of their own health. So tremendous amount of fear out there, and I'm glad to see more and more constituents out there voicing their views. I don't, of course, you know, support weapons or, you know, people interrupting, but people are very frightened and they're making their voice heard. That's all.
You don't have to be wicked smart just to read his body language. I mean, the fact that he was just doing like this, like he was just like, come on already, come on.
I thought I was the only one he reacted to like that. Apparently this is a universal demeanor.
So disrespectful. Yeah. If you're out there and you're outraged and you want, this person is your representative, you elected him, you want him to hear your concerns and
oh,
hear your outrage.
Shabani, please.
You do that to me.